Well, there you have it. All the dupes in the colony are now zombies. This is a first. Welcome back to Echo Ridge in another episode here in our Chill Hill series. As a reminder, this is actually a part B because the original episode ended up being entirely too long. But without further ado, let's kick this one off. For now, let me start designing this loop. I will do it out of normal liquid pipe right now because, well, I don't have anything else. I could use cinnabar ore. Yes, this is the way. I forgot, now that we can use ores to build regular pipes, it has a better thermal conductivity than standard minerals, so we'll do that. Actually, we'll probably start with the igneous rock and then fill in where we need with the cinnabar ore for now, until we get enough refined metal for radiant liquid pipes. Now, I've done a system like this before, and it works, although it can be a little, I don't know, what's the word? Janky? Basically, we're going to have a cooling loop come all through this area. Let's say we want to cool this area. We're going to want to cool all this area too, which means I'm going to need to move some of this around. Say like that. Oh, that's right. The dupes aren't going to be able to get out because there's no power. All right, dupes, don't worry about it. You don't need suits. Let's just go ahead and disable that building. All right, with some of those lines out of the way. And we're going to keep cooling this whole thing. We'll probably... I got to give this a look. It's going to come out of here, go through here, and then we'll work our way up. So we're going to cool all this. This is not going to be a line there much longer, so then we can go across. I will also move this around, so we'll be able to keep going across here. Oh, I should probably make it one higher so it's actually going across the buildings. So I don't need to do that. And then we'll go through here, up, through here, and here's where it's going to get a little interesting. The raw coolant that's already been heated up through this area is going to go directly into the metal refineries. And once this metal refinery has enough coolant, it'll also overflow into this one. And then when the coolant goes out, well, we want it to go into the thermal aqua tuners. We do not want any of this coolant to keep going around because it'll be 60, 70 degrees by that point. So we're going to have it come out like this and then go directly up into the return here. But the key of this system is this whole thing needs to keep rotating around even if we're not using the metal refinery. So we have to figure out a bridge system that allows this coolant to have priority. That way the metal refineries don't get stuck, but also making sure the main coolant line doesn't stop either. So we're going to put a bridge right here, and then we're going to bridge on the overflow this way here. So what this means is if there's coolant needing to come out of the metal refinery, it'll come out through here, go up and over. The overflow will only continue if this line is empty. So this sort of works out like this. Now I probably could have kept the bridge this way. In fact, I will do that just to make it a little cleaner looking, even though this is already turning out to be a little bit of spaghetti. But it's good spaghetti, I promise. And then we'll also make sure this part here keeps the steam turbines cool and then rejoins with everything else over here. Once we actually get some coolant in here, it'll make a little bit more sense. Although, to be quite honest, it is a little bit of spaghetti-ish. Ooh, I can clean this up now. Down here on the bottom, we are busy vacuuming this out, thanks to our wonderful liquid lock, and why can't we come get this stuff? Alright, this is water, this is abyssalite. Alright, abyssalite can come up here. Why can't you do this? Oh, okay, abyssalite can get dropped off. It's just the water that's saying no. Where am I going to put the water? Oh, I actually don't need to drop the water because we're going to need some starting water in here anyway. So I'll make a water drop off right through here. And then we're also going to need some wonderful temperature shift plates in here because I want all the thermals to be equally distributed. And we'll use, once again, igneous rock. Give me a second while I do some ONI ASMR. There we go. Don't worry about these little spots. I have something in plan for that, and I suppose I need to move this because of that plan, so we'll just go up and over like this. All right, slowly but steadily, we're getting there. We also finally have enough iron to connect these thermal aqua tuners. There we go. Everything's powered, and we're almost ready to start. One thing I have to do is fill this loop up with nectar. We're using nectar because of its great thermal properties. It doesn't freeze until -82 and doesn't flash until 160. It also has a decent specific heat capacity at 4.1, and a thermal conductivity of 0.6. And when you compare that to polluted water, one second, scrolling, you can see that the thermal conductivity is a little bit better and the specific heat capacity is about the same. And I think we can stop production on this one here. And the rest of the iron we're going to need to make the steam turbines down below we'll use out of the new system here, as long as you know it works. I can also seal this up. Oh yes. We will need a smart battery up here. I think this will work out well. I'm also going to need the main power spine to go up there. So we will just overwrite this and go all the way across. And then for this, we'll just jump this on. Man, it's actually coming together. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is. You just have to close your eyes and imagine a little bit. And once again, I have forgotten something vital in here, because why haven't I? I need a liquid vent, and why did you just turn off on me? There we go. Iron, and then we will do some more weird bridging like this. And that way when we put our steam turbines in, they will have some place that they can vent to, like that. We're getting really close. We're down to 28 tons of wood. Literally every cycle is draining probably 1.5 tons of wood. And I think since we're not doing any of the metal refinery work, we can probably turn these suits back on. No, I'll wait. It'll be fine. Well, unless you're a duplicate traveling through all this carbon dioxide, that can't be fun. Why are you damaged? Popped eardrum, sopping wet, hungry, holding breath. Okay. Okay. Let's re-enable the suits. Now, this loop can't be completely closed because it'll end up getting stopped up due to the coolant all running in the metal refinery, and then all of a sudden there's 800 kilos in each metal refinery and the loop itself is empty. So we are going to need a buffer tank. Now, ideally, the buffer tank will be somewhere where it's all nice and cooled already. That way, when we do get hotter than normal out of here, it'll end up averaging with all of the nice and cool coolant. And I think that's spot is going to be right here. Now, there is a problem that we will once again run into with this system. What we've kind of discovered is there's never any gaps. Even if it's just a 0.1 of a kilo, you could get a situation where there'll be a blob of liquid in here that would never be able to output onto this line because of the way the bridging system works. But I think because we have the metal refineries in here, and there should be a temporary pause as the coolant is going through and waiting to come back out, that it will be enough for all the liquid, even if it's stuck up in here, to slip back out. The thing is, though, we do have to make sure the buffer tank is not chocked full. Oh, when there's chaos, there's chaos. We have some stress vomiting over by Lily Sap. And, well, Lily's not the only one. And the reason why is because we're overpressured down here. We're overpressured down here because we're generating so much carbon dioxide that this one little gas pump can't keep up. And I'd love to say I'm going to fix it, except I have to get more work done in order to be able to fix it. Okay, maybe I can just dig out some of this down here, and it'll allow the carbon dioxide level to drop a little bit. This is about the best I can do. Hopefully it'll be enough for the dupes. I guess that was a good reason why I should have this not as a pneumatic door, because then all this carbon dioxide would have been not able to come in as quickly. So I suppose... No, we'll deal with that later. You know what we could do to help this whole process out, though, is give the duplicants some tickled tootsies. That will help a little bit with the stress, at least while they're eating and while they're sleeping. Oh, this will be a perfect solution. Ish. While the duplicants are working on that, it's time to continue. Progress does not wait for the dupe, and I think we're just going to go ahead and come right off of this nectar line, hook it right into this bridge here. Why aren't you flowing this way? What did I do wrong? I'm not sure what I did wrong. I must have a backwards bridge or something. Even hooking it up there, it doesn't want to flow. Maybe if I disconnect it from there. There we go. I guess it was the two inputs craziness. Now, because the metal refineries have no coolant, they will be getting filled up first. And then I'll probably wait for this buffer tank to be sitting at around 2 tons, and then I will disconnect it. Luckily, we have plenty of nectar where that came from. So far, so good, and I went a little heavy on the nectar input, but this will be fine. We still have plenty of room in here. We're only at about 2.7 tons. And now I can try this wonderful metal refinery. I want some more iron because of course I do. I'm going to say 25 out of this one. I'm not going to activate this one yet just because we don't have the power situation handled. I could start building steam turbines out of steel, but that seems a little much. Now the nectar is coming in. I have this one set at -20. I'm going to do the same with this one. So if the nectar is above -20, it's going to try to cool it, which is fine because the maximum it'll be able to get down to after one thermo aqua tuner will be -34, and after the second aqua tuner, -48, because each thermo aqua tuner is able to cool the coolant by 14 degrees. Now it's going to be a little while before the steam turbine will be able to turn on. Well, for one, there's no steam. It's not hot enough in here. All this brine was pretty cold. But we're going to set this on a 90-70 because our primary supply of power in this colony is going to be through steam turbines. But we don't want the steam turbine to only turn on when the battery tells it to, because if it gets too hot in here, well, then things will start melting and blowing up. For instance, the thermal aqua tuner has a maximum overheat temperature of 325. I don't want to even come close to getting that hot, so we're just going to say if the temperature in here gets above 200, send a green signal, which will turn on the steam turbines. We have a metal refinery running. Notice that the primary cooling loop is stopped while this metal refinery is draining, just as intended. So we'll always have a metal refinery that's able to work, and it'll always be able to drain no matter what is on this line. Even if both metal refineries are running, this is still a 50-50 split. So it's not the quickest metal refinery setup that you can have, but let's be honest, it looks kind of cool, it's efficient, we don't have cooling pipes extending out of the metal refineries, and all this nectar is going to be able to keep this area nice and cool. Now granted, it's going to take a little while because, well, we're using normal pipes because I don't have enough refined metal. I'm starting the setup here, and we have some brine actually flashing in the pipes, so I'm going to add some insulated liquid pipes because the brine will be sitting in this area for quite some time. Now this is going to take a little bit of construction, but that'll be okay. Yes, isn't this nice? And it does look like we finished vacuuming this all out, and I don't see any more polluted water or polluted dirt, so I can get rid of this setup here. I'm going to leave this line. We're eventually going to be putting a thermo aqua tuner in here to be able to cool this area down, but I think we're about ready to get the process going. You can see I have an atmo sensor in here, and that's going to be tied into whether or not we're using brine from all the way at the top of the map to supplement how much water is going into the geothermal heat pump. You see, once we reconnect this geovent, we'll get a notification here that says the geothermal heat pump is at 0% pressure. And it says when the pressure reaches 12 tons. In other words, we have to put 12 tons of liquid in here. Well, after it spits it all out and turns it into steam, it's going to be a little less than 12 tons because other stuff comes out. So we're going to use this atmo sensor to define, hey, when there is not at least 20 tons worth of pressure in here, I want you to send a green signal to allow the water flow from this liquid shutoff. Alternatively, we'll also use the atmo sensor that says, otherwise, keep taking the steam that's coming out of the steam turbines and sending it back into the geothermal heat pump. After 20 tons, because we don't want too little pressure to end up in this room, we'll have the steam turbines dump everything back in this room, which we'll just take one of these, say right here, some regular old pipes going across. I think that's about right there. And by now we should have enough for a steam turbine made out of iron. We do, we have one. So let's put it on the interior first, just like that. And just like the above steam turbine, we're also going to want this connected to a smart battery so we can control when the steam turbines are turned on and off. This little spot here looks good. Connect it into the spine as well. And we're getting really close. And I sure hope so, because we're 100% out of wood. This is about to be very bad. And stress is going up. Even though I added a second pump here, and the pressure is going down inside the base, it's still, you know, we have things to do. So it's probably once again time to disable this building, which is going to mean more popped eardrums. Yay! Because the power situation is so bad, I think we're just going to go ahead and send all of the ethanol up, and we can do that there, and then disconnect it here. Oh yeah, and disconnect it here. And at least this ethanol which is being backfilled by this little pond here, will be enough to turn these petroleum generators back on until we have enough of this set up to where it's going. We have some ethanol flowing, and power is now restored. We also have this steam turbine starting to create us a little bit of power. The carbon dioxide levels are going down. It's also assisted by the fact that I'm not opening this door. We're sitting at 29 tons of oxalate, so I'm not too worried about it until I get this situation all figured out. I may end up liquid locking this area because I think that, combined with all the wood burners, was the reason why we got so much carbon dioxide in this area, which then of course caused everybody to stress, on top of the fact that we ran out of wood for the wood burners because this project's taking too long. But the good news is you can see how much chill has been dropped off around our industrial area. It is much cooler than it was when we started. That's part of the good news. The other part of the good news is I think we're ready here. Yeah, we don't have a thermal aqua tuner or anything yet, but let's be honest, we need this system to work now. I think all I really need is an automation bridge. And this already says if it is below 20 kilos, which it is because this is a vacuum, I want you to allow the flow coming out of this liquid shutoff and to go right in there. We're also going to do something here. Now, we do have the steam turbine plugged in temporarily to this vent, but that's not the long-term solution because we're going to want another liquid shutoff, say right here. And all of the water is going to come up and initially head into this liquid shutoff, which is going to come over. And in fact, this probably needs to be insulated, which is going to come over and up and head into this same input right here. Now, when this one's sending a green signal, I want this one to have a red signal, which means it's not going to allow the flow, which means it's going to send everything back down into our geothermal plant. So to do that, we're just going to tie it in like this, and we'll bridge it, get rid of this old system. And in order to flip this, we of course are going to need our wonderful NOT gate, something like this, and that'll be sending that red signal. But notice right now, because there's less than 20 kilos worth of pressure in there, it's sending a green signal, which is allowing all that brine to head in here. Right now we're at 21% pressure. Let's let this go for a minute. I was hoping that if we left the aloe veras here, they would end up auto-harvesting. I think that's something else that changed in the patch. It doesn't look like they're ever just going to drop their oxalate. That would have been a nice solution to this. So next step, we'll be adding that liquid lock so that way the carbon dioxide never leaves. We now have 100% pressure, and apparently a button has popped up that says activate the power plant. And here comes the noise. Now, something I am concerned about with is whether or not this debris has a chance of breaking any of those tiles. That's the reason why I left these three here. Because eventually I'm going to grab all these goodies, thanks for the save, and put metal blocks here so the debris just smashes up against them. Then we'll have an auto sweeper take them out. But so far it doesn't look like those debris do any sort of damage, so this should be okay. Now this might actually take more than one geothermal explosion, I'm not sure, because we have a bunch of these temperature shift plates in here that are still sitting at 22 degrees, so everything's flashing into water. No big deal. We've got some decent steam spread. Right now it's 12 kilos worth of pressure, so still not enough, which means the brine is still flowing in here. We've already got back up to 30% pressure, but it's only sitting at 110 degrees. It's going to take another cycle for the steam to be condensed and head back into the heat pump before I think we see some true power generation here. Speaking of which, I think I can get a little bit more iron now. Let's get another 10. Update on the thermals, it's getting even cooler. In fact, why don't we lower these to say minus 25 and see how that does. We also have enough iron to add the second steam turbine down here, just in time. This will be the same system, except it's going to have to do a little bit more wonkiness. This is all in the way here. I'm going to move this over here. That might be a little bit better, and you'll see why here in a few. Let me deconstruct this. There we go. That's a lot better. Now, by the default, all the steam turbine exhaust will head up to this port. If this is green, it'll continue to send it over here. Otherwise, it'll bypass this and continue to go down here. And the only reason it's going to be green is if there's not at least 20 kilos worth of pressure in here, which there's 74. So this is stopped. And since this is not hot enough to turn on yet, I need to actually flip this. While it may not seem like it, stress is actually going down, and I think this is due to two changes. First, the wonderful carpeted tiles, giving the duplicants the tickled tootsies, reduces stress by 15% per cycle as long as they're standing on them. The second is I've put the liquid lock in. Once again, we've used a mercury liquid lock because, well, it's just so easy now, thanks to the use of mercury temperature shift plates. Unfortunately, the power situation is still not good. We are all out of wood, we don't have any ethanol. Since the thermal aqua tuners are no longer run, not even this steam turbine has enough heat to make some power, and now our duplicants can't get out again. So I think, based on what little iron I have sitting inside here, the best thing might be to just hook up all of the manual generators. This is just temporary, it's gonna be fine. With the assistance of a couple of dupes, we're now able to actually get outside of our base, but this doesn't really solve the problem. But I've got an idea of something that will. We're just gonna put some manual generators right here, and I'll even hook them up with a smart battery. Oh, this is gonna be nice. Well, not nice. It'd be nicer if I didn't even have to use the manual generators, but I think we're past that point, and we'll make sure that the manual generators are a last-ditch effort. We're gonna put them on 90-10. And look, Naz is even happy about it. Look at that adorable smile. Again, not a great solution, but hopefully they'll be able to generate enough power so we can turn this liquid shutoff back on, because right now, well, it's not doing anything. I suppose, could I do that? Nope, that doesn't work. But I am sure that will. And then I can just separate it from here, and then we'll have water flowing back into the geothermal heat pump, which is stuck at 35%. Once this thing gets to 100 again, we're gonna get more steam in here. And this time, it'll be pretty hot enough to where these steam turbines will be able to fire off again, giving us enough power to add more steam turbines, etc., etc. The end is near, and I mean that because we're going to reach our goals, not because the colony's going to fail. 99%? We're almost there? Oh, wait a minute. This brine is still at 14 degrees. So if it raises it by 150, it's only going to be, say, 160 degrees. This might take another try after this. 160 degrees would be hot enough to turn the steam turbine on, but I don't know if it's hot enough to raise the temperature of all this steam on top of that. So far, the temperature is going up, and it does not look like the debris does cause any damage, but I think there's still a reason to put a little hat on it. And that way you don't get debris all the way over here, and then you can just have one simple auto sweeper and conveyor loader setup. Oh, it's starting. We had the steam turbine trip for just a second. Let me disconnect this. And just maybe it's 125 degrees, yes? We have a little bit less than 4 tons remaining in the geovent, so the temperature here should keep rising. But the great news is the water is flowing. And this is 95 seawater. So when it comes back out the other side, it should be almost 250 degrees. Yes, we have power! And enough iron to add another steam turbine. Ooh la la, things are coming together. Pro level gameplay at its peak. We are starting to get a little overpressure issues here, and it looks like that's happening around 120 kilos worth of steam pressure. And this is because we had to cycle so much through it. But we are going to be continuously taking out more pressure, because as the steam turbines take out the exhaust, it depressurizes, etc., etc. The geovent is closed off now. It's gotten rid of all of its steam. We're down to 110 kilos, but that's not going to be enough. So now I'm starting to try to figure out a way that I can get some of this out of here. And I think the best way is going to be adding another steam turbine and having this one temporarily vent and just dropping the water, say right here. I also need to start working on the thermal aqua tuner to keep these steam turbines cold. They're already up to 51 degrees. And while it is decently cool down here, well, that doesn't show the picture, it's not going to last for very long. I can also just continuously put 2 blocks here and then just straight up destroy 100 kilos at a time. That might actually be the quickest and easiest method. I do that a few times and I'll get the steam pressure down here, say 50 kilos. We've got some more steam being injected, and the bunker tiles are doing great, keeping all the debris down here. I don't even really need to manually scoop those. Why do we have mercury down here? No, no, no. We now have 4 steam turbines. What in the world? Mikey Sheep, where did you get zombie spores from? Oh, dear goodness. What happened here? How did this get deconstructed? What destroyed this? We have a zombie spore outbreak. Okay, zombie spores. Time to recovery, 18 cycles. Minus 10 to all stats. This is a first. I've never had a zombie spore outbreak. Oh, great, there's more. Clarky now has zombie spores. Why can't anything just ever work? No, 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 Mikey Sheep. You're definitely not going outside. Minus 10 to athletics? Let's see how hilarious this is. Walking around with a minus 4 athletics after we put the suit on. I guess I need to build a sick bay. Well, we also have the problem that no one in the colony is a doctor. Why didn't I ever print a doctor? Looks like someone's gonna figure it out real quick. The zombie spores are slowly dying, well, as long as we can keep the oxygen flowing. And that's because they don't really do well in oxygen. They do just fine in carbon dioxide and natural gas, but not really in oxygen. Now, it's not like the zombie spores are being eradicated by the oxygen, but it looks like they're going away. Alright, so I went through the process of building an apothecary and even put in a disease clinic, you know, because I wanted to do the best and provide the best medical care for our duplicants. Unfortunately, the serum vial, which is used to treat the zombie spore infection, requires 1 kilo of steel, got it, and sun nymph eggs. About that. I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't have sun bugs. We have shine bugs. And the only way you can increase your chances of getting sun nymph eggs is by making sure that they eat gristleberry. Does anybody see any bristle blossoms? Because I sure don't. The good news is, though, we now have 4 duplicants with the zombie infection. I still want to know how this happened. Well, I suppose we might as well drown it while we can. Another reason why this doesn't make sense is because the sporkids are in here. As soon as we would have deconstructed them, well, they would have been flooded by liquid, which, as you can see, drowns the little... I guess there's no reason to have 2 tanks anymore. Or maybe we should, just in case. I'll end up having to fix all this later, but any water that we need, we can just send through the geothermal heat pump, and it takes care of it for us. Oh, look at this. The first 126 kilos of steam is ready to go away. Time to recovery, 17.3 cycles. 17.4 cycles. Mikey Sheep is only 16.4, and Clarky still has another 16 cycles. Oh, this is just bad. But it looks like the zombie spores are dying. I just have no idea how they got out here in the first place. Let me know if you saw something that I just completely missed. And I think what we're going to do, just to be safe, is anybody that ends up getting the zombie infection, we are just going to remove their ability to go outside. Luke, JM Mort, Mikey Sheep, and Clarky, who can't go outside after all anyways. Just when stress was going down, huh? Notice the steam turbines are now stopping, and that's because the battery is getting full. So now we've actually hit that point that I was talking about earlier, where this whole thing just becomes a geothermal battery for us. Whenever we need power, we'll just take some of the steam out. That steam is then condensed and thrown back into our geothermal heat pump, and we will repeat the process. Our last steam turbine is going in. I'm gonna have to build a couple of extra pipes, and so all that's really left is to build the thermal aqua tuner. Oh dear goodness. We have 2 more now with the zombie infection, Synth and Lily Sap. I just don't understand. Luckily, there are no zombie spores on the inside of our base. Well, not yet. They are definitely trying to come in. The only sporkid seeds that we have found on the map are sitting right over here in this pile. I am really tempted just to load up an autosave just to see where the zombie infection came. There was enough water in here, they should have just flooded everything out, but somehow they got out and, well, they're here to stay. I mean, their temperature range is minus 105 to 290, so even the cold down here is not going to prevent them. We now have 8 duplicants with the zombie spores. 2/3 of our colony are going to be down for almost 20 cycles. Now, the earliest autosave I have is cycle 292, so I'm going to go give it a look, because maybe if I find out what caused this, It might help me treat it. Alright, well, it's cycle 292. We seem to be okay. Somehow, these got deconstructed. I mean, it's abyssalite. And I suppose if these opened up, like we saw in the current save, maybe there wasn't enough liquid to spill over, and then the zombie spores, all 4.3 million of them per tile, just sort of broke free. Oh, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna make a new save that says before the zombie outbreak. I do have 99 kilos worth of bleach stone. Unfortunately, the oxygen pressure up here is too high for that bleach stone to sort of off-gas, but I might be able to put some down here to at least prevent it from coming inside the base so the duplicants are in suits, because if the duplicants are in suits, they can't turn into zombies. So I'm going to put a little bit of bleach stone, say right here, as bleach stone is one of the few things that will actually disinfect the zombie spores. Other than that, it's all solids and liquids. I'm going to keep working as if the colony is not about to come to an end and put in this cooling loop. I'm separating out some iron and granite pipes just so I can conserve what little iron I have and reduce the amount of tasks that we need to do. I really don't feel like having the duplicants up here refining more iron. The longer I can keep them up here in the oxygen, well, the less chance they have to get even sicker. By the way, we're up to 10 duplicants with zombie spores. Well, I guess the good thing is they can't really die. They're just going to be going really slow and maybe not make it back for lunch. Well, there you have it. All the dupes in the colony are now zombies. This is a first. On the good news front, we're having zero power issues around the colony. The steam turbines are up to about 63 degrees though, so we're getting ready to charge the cooling loop. And it's a pretty simple cooling loop. We're going to be using nectar. Thermo aqua tuner is going to keep it cold. Whammo blammo. No overheating steam turbines. All of our nectar is loaded up, and I don't see any problem with having this set to say, what, 15 degrees? We'll start off with that and see how it goes. And oh my goodness, I've completely forgotten about the mammoths. Oh, and it's 11 degrees in here. I need this place to be cooler. Let's go at minus 30. The reason why it's gotten warmer is because the cold ethanol is not being rotated through here right now. And that's not happening because we don't have fertilization. Oh, our seals are about to die. Did we really run out of snow? I'm on a planetoid full of snow. Go get some snow. And then I'll hook the ethanol tank back up the way it belongs. And as long as my zombie friends can go dig up some snow, we should be back in business before all the seals die. Look, it's not 100% my fault. If I wasn't distracted by, you know, a literal zombie outbreak, this would have been pretty easy to deal with. The last thing I'm doing for this project is putting in some temperature shift plates. Because this is going to be so much carbon dioxide down here, and it doesn't spread thermals quite as well as it spreads zombie spores, the temperature shift plates should do some help. I am proud to report that most of the zombie spores seem to have been eradicated. Now it's all about just waiting for the duplicants to recover. We take JM Mort here, for example, they have another 4 cycles. I was fortunate that our gas pumps were able to get rid of the carbon dioxide down here before the zombie spores were really able to spread throughout here. Well, I say that. There's still some remnants in here, like here's 4, 9, but they're dying. And poor Alyssa, rocking out with their -8 to athletics. Yeah, you wouldn't make that trip. I did get some snow in here, so we're able to keep the spigot seals alive. That's going to be the next priority once this colony sort of recovers, is going to get all the snow in the world. Down here, it's doing great. We still have a little bit of overpressuring issues, but I'm going to be fixing that over a little bit of time. But the system itself works perfect. We have 5 steam turbines, all producing 850 watts, all connected to a battery as well, so it just works like a dream. We're well on our way to recovery. The seals are once again eating and reproducing. We have a bimini in here, and some of the plum squashes are growing. We have ethanol flowing again, thanks to the seals. And there are no more zombie spores. And we only have 11 zombies. That's right, Mikey Sheep was the first to be cured. Well, I'm sure you've enjoyed this chaos. I never expected the last couple of videos to go the way they did. There's some quote out there about all good intentions. I'm really looking forward to seeing your chuckles in the comments below. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.